All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is April 27th. We got a smaller than usual MLB slate, but we're gonna jump into each and every game. I'll give you my lean on the game. We'll talk about the total, all that good stuff. But my final plays, what I'm actually going to be rolling with, my final plays will be in the pinned comment. I tell you guys that in every video. I usually do it in bulk, but I update it throughout the day, always in by game time. In terms of final plays yesterday, we got good news, we got bad news. The good news is the two hits that we have in our 2 and 3 night were plus money hits. Blue Jays -1.5, they covered their run line, plus 110 odds, and the Pirates big winners at plus 130 line, plus 130 on the money line. The bad news is those were both half unit plays, so we do still come out in the red from yesterday, but woosah, we will bounce back tonight. We did come off of 2 nights ago, 3 and 1 night, so this is not going to kill us, but let's be better tonight, guys. Before we jump into it, I do want to talk to you guys about Outlier. We're going to go poke around and find a play in Outlier at the end of the video so we can see an actual visual example of the tool, but Outlier has become my favorite sports betting research tool. I've thrown it into the arsenal and it is there to stay. You can check out Outlier yourself. Use that link in the description. I also have a link in the pinned comment for a 7-day free trial. It's a no-brainer. Go check it out. It has been helping me a ton. You could see with the graphics how visual this thing is. It's on the web and also on the app as well on your phone, so make sure to go check that out, guys. Let's go ahead and jump into the first game here. We're looking at Atlanta taking on the Marlins. Kyle Wright on the mound for the Braves, 5.93 ERA, 0-1 on the season. For the Marlins here, Garrett's on the mound, 1-0 with a 2.84 ERA. Atlanta still very big favorites in this one. They're -180 at home on the money line. Total sitting at 8.5 runs. Atlanta has taken both games and covered their run line, or all 3 of these games actually, and covered their run line, 11-0, 7-4, and 6-4 here. I don't see any reason why this would change. The only play that really makes a lot of logical sense to me is going to be Atlanta -1.5 and covering the run line for plus 110 odds. They've been doing it all series long. I don't exactly see why they wouldn't do it again. Miami just has not been a good run line team here, not covering 4 of their last 6 games here in Atlanta, like I just said. 3 straight covers there. In terms of the total, 8.5, I think this one goes up and over. We've already seen all 3 of these games go way over, so I don't understand why this hasn't been bumped up to 9 or 9.5 yet, but I do like the over 8.5 there. We're going to lean in that direction. Next game we're looking at is going to be Pittsburgh taking on the Dodgers here. The Pirates come through for us yesterday. They're 17-8 on the season. They have Mitch Keller on the mound, 2-0 with a 3.64 ERA. Urias on the mound for the Dodgers, 3-2 with a 3.33 ERA. This Pittsburgh team, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 11 games in a row now as plus 1.5 run line dogs there. They have covered that, and I'm going to lean in that direction again. I know it's absolutely crazy. Like, how long can they do this for? I don't know, but I'm ready to ride this until the wheels fall off. Now, I don't know if I necessarily love money line today, plus 150. That would be a nice hit if you are on that side. I get that, but I think I like the run line. Just like game 1 of this series, it was at 6-7, 7-8, whatever it was. The Pirates high-scoring game. They actually had that game in the bag, and then the Dodgers come back, but still Pittsburgh able to cover with that plus 1.5. I like that safety net, especially when the odds aren't all that bad. Around -118, you can grab on FanDuel right now. So I'm going to lean towards Pittsburgh on the running line, money line. And then in terms of the total, it is at 7.5 right now. I know we have 2 decent pitchers on the mound here, but I am looking at that over all day long. Again, 2 games that these 2 teams have played, it has been 8-7 and then 8-1, covering that 7.5 line. So I'm going to stick towards that side of things as well. All right, Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Seattle Mariners. Yesterday's game was kind of back and forth, and Philly takes that win 6-5 here. They lost game 1 of this series 5-3, however, so these 2 teams have split this right now. I don't think Seattle plus 1.5 is a bad move. You are going to get some bad or some terrible odds and terrible juice you're gonna have to be paying, but it could be a money line play. This Phillies team just kind of puzzles me. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Just like yesterday, I think I was kind of confused with this game. I still am here. I'm gonna lean towards the Phillies. I think that the odds they're just a slight favorite, so I'm gonna kind of go with what Vegas thinks is the most likely outcome, but I don't have the biggest of feels for this game. Strom on the mound for the Phillies. He's 1-2 with a 3 ERA, and then Kirby on the mound for the Mariners, 2-1 with a 3.5 ERA. Again, I'm just being transparent with you guys. The 2 two sides of this game I don't read very, very well, so I'm going to lean towards the home team and the favorite team, Phillies, on the money line. And then in terms of a total, 8 runs right now. I've seen this on 8.5 at some sportsbooks, so keep that in mind. But I think this one hits the over. The game before yesterday's, 2 games ago, they landed right on 8 runs, and then the game after that, obviously, that was the 6-5 game, 11 runs scored. I think that we see something similar to that today. All right, the Cubs taking on the Padres. The Cubs killed us last night, and now they're underdogs in today's game, plus 122. Wesnecki's on the mound for them, 1-1 with a 4.67 ERA. Lugo on the mound for the Padres, 2-1 with a 2.78 ERA. Wesnecki hasn't been all that great this season, but I do think it's a very good spot for him pitching against the Padres here, and I think that they come back and get the win. Now, you can get them at plus 1.5 for decent odds as well, plus 1.5 minus 140-ish right now. You can grab that on DraftKings. So I mean, that isn't all that much juice to be paying for a team, if you want that extra safety net. But I do think that the Cubs can win this one outright today. Yes, the Padres have the better pitcher on the mound, but in terms of matchups, I think that Hayden Wesnecky matches up really, really well against this Padres lineups and how they hit him. So I think this is going to be a good spot. I think you're getting some value on the Cubs side of things. Now, I'm starting to think that I'm like a Cubs groupie or something, because I feel like we're pulling the trigger on the Cubs a lot. They have won us plenty of money this season already, but I don't want to fall into that, Cubs money line, just because it's a comfortable bet. So this will be a tester here to see if, I'm really reading into this game right, or if I'm just kind of, Cubs fanboying for whatever reason. But again, I think the pitching matchup's there. I think you have good value on the money line for plus 122, but I also think there's good value, and you're not paying that much juice to get the Cubs at plus 1.5. Now, in terms of a total 8.5, last 2 games here have gone under for these two teams here. It was 6-0, and then 5-3. I do think that this one sticks right around that 8-run mark, so I'm going to lean towards the under, but it's not that much of a difference in terms of margin there. So I'm only predicting this to be a half run under of the actual total. So we'll see where I come out on that in terms of final play. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if I do end up rolling with it. But as of right now, that is a sort of on the fence type pick for me as of right now, like I said. Guys, before we get into the rest of the slate, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You guys are absolutely killing it. We're gaining a bunch of subscribers every single day. I don't know how to say thank you more than I have or more than I do, because I don't want to, flood the video with a bunch of thank yous, and then you guys are like, come on, get to the picks. We get it. So I don't want to be all sappy, but seriously, guys, I am so thankful for everything that you guys have done for me. If you've come to a video and commented one word, that does a lot for the channel. If you've hit the like button one time, hell, if you've hit the dislike button one time, if you've engaged with the channel at all, I cannot thank you guys enough, seriously. So we're going to keep grinding for you guys. We're going to keep growing and making this a bigger and better show every single day, and we'll keep giving you guys winners as well. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game. All right, next game up, we have the Giants taking on the Cardinals here. Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants, 1-4 with a 5.28 ERA. Mikolas on the mound for the Cardinals, 0-1 with a 7.46 ERA. Right now, San Francisco is minus 145 on the money line at home. Total is sitting at 8.5 runs. I immediately jump to the over here. I think these pitchers are going to give up plenty of runs. We've seen 3 games in the series, 2 of which already have hit the over in this mark. And that was just a weird game from St. Louis in game 1. They didn't score any runs there, but in game 3, they still catch the loss, but still score 3 runs. San Francisco scores 7. They scored 10 combined runs there. I'm going to be taking a peek at the over. In terms of the money line here, this St. Louis team, I want to say that they have value here at plus 130 on the road on the money line, but I don't know if they do. I can't necessarily trust them yet, so I'm going to lean Giants minus 140-ish, right? Minus 145 money line at home. I don't love the play. I know you guys hate when I say that. I give a lean and I say I don't love the play, but I'd rather be transparent, like we've been multiple times this video, being like, I don't really have a great read here versus just for content purposes giving you guys a BS pick, right? So I'm gonna lean Giants. I don't know how much I love it. I will continue to obviously look into the read, but I am gonna lean Giants here money line. I do like the over probably more than anything in this game though. All right, we got the Angels taking on the Athletics here. Angels have on the mound Shohei Ohtani, 3-0 with a .64 ERA. Sears on the mound for the Athletics, 0-1 with a 4.98 ERA. This is one of the easier picks for me on the schedule, on the slate today, which kind of scares me a little bit. We do have a brand called Fade Me after all, but what I will say is this just seems like a spot for the Angels run line here. Minus 137 isn't the best of odds. I wish we were getting a little bit better, but still not not that much juice. This Oakland team cannot hang with this Angels team, especially with Ohtani on the mound. So I'm leaning the Angels minus the 1.5 on the run line. And then in terms of the total, they've gone back and forth to this line. They scored 11 and 10 in their first game, and then all of a sudden 5-3, and then 11-3 here. This one I think is going to hit the under. I don't love this total that much. I do like the Angels minus 1.5 though in this one. I think that this Oakland team, yes, they kept it close in game 1 of the series, but since then, even game 2, Angels in control there 5-3, and then obviously winning it big yesterday 11-3. All right, Detroit taking on Baltimore here, a new series for both these teams. Detroit coming off of, in terms of their last series, coming off of taking 2 of 3 against Milwaukee. They were underdogs in every single game there, and they took 2 of 3. Baltimore taking 2 of 3 against Boston. Yesterday's win in pretty commanding fashion. Today, Detroit is plus 145 here at home on the money line. Total is sitting at 8 runs as of right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this one moves around here. Detroit, in terms of a total of 8, has not hit that over in 9 games, so I wouldn't be surprised if Vegas does move this one around. I am going to lean towards the under there ever so slightly. And then in terms of a play here, I know this Detroit team isn't all that great, but they've actually covered their plus 1.5 run line in 8 of their last 10 games, with that line being the underdog. So I'm going to lean towards Detroit plus 1.5 on the mound for the Orioles. They do have someone that's yet to get their first loss. 4-0 on the year is Kyle Gibson with a 3.6 ERA. Joey Wentz on the mound for the Tigers, 0-3 with a 7.56 ERA. So I understand the craziness or maybe the stupidity of this pick, but again, Detroit is playing teams very close. When they're plus 1.5, I already said it, 8 out of their last 10 games, they have covered their run line. So I'm going to lean towards them here. I don't think that they necessarily, I wouldn't guarantee that they win this game, but I do think they have a very strong chance of keeping this game close. And like I said, we already talked about the total. Alrighty, we got the Mets taking on Washington. I don't even know what's going on in this series. Washington has won the first 2 games, both in commanding fashion, 5-0 and then 4-1. This kind of is hurting my head because obviously in game 1 we leaned towards Washington. Yesterday I didn't think that it would necessarily be the play, but I did say that we're Washington fans, if anything, because I didn't like the Mets side of things. I don't know how you can look away from that now. You can even get Washington today for plus 1.5 on the run line for plus 100 even odds there. Lucchesi on the mound for the Mets, 1-0. He's got no ERA. Trevor Williams on the mound for the Nationals. I don't hate that either. 1-1 with a 3.38 ERA. So I'm looking at the Washingtons here. I'm looking at the Washingtons plus 1.5 on the run line. Again, even odds over on BetMGM. So I think that there's some serious value there. And then in terms of the total, I haven't seen much out of either of these offenses. I mean, Washington more than the Mets as of late. The Mets have yet to score, out of their last 5 games or so, they have 1 game where they've scored over 5 runs. Now, they did put up a 10 spot. That is the game we're talking about here, but they are not scoring a lot of runs, even dating back like 6-7 games or so. So I'm going to lean towards the under here. I like Washington on the run line as well. All right, here we go. We got the White Sox hosting the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay coming off losing 2 of 3 against Houston. They did not score any runs in the last 2 games. This is a team that has been one of the powerhouses in the league so far this season. 0 runs in their last 2 games. Chicago coming off of getting swept by Toronto, getting swept by Tampa Bay just 2 series ago. So we've already seen this matchup here. The unfortunate part is that you are seeing this Tampa Bay team, their odds dwindle here. No, I shouldn't say dwindle. Their odds are pretty, minus 150-ish on DraftKings, especially minus 150. I wish after, losing 2 of 3 against Houston, we were going to get better odds for Tampa Bay. I was kind of anticipating that we'd have a really good spot for them at, minus 130th. I'm minus 130-ish. I'm still going to be pulling the trigger. They got McClanahan on the mound. Ceese's on the mound for the White Sox, so they're trying him out. It's going to be a good game, but I wish that we were getting a better, I shouldn't say line, but better odds here on the Tampa Bay side of things, because I do lean Tampa Bay on the money line. Chicago just has not been winning. Now they win when Ceese's pitching. He's 2-0 this season, but I do think that, this Tampa Bay team is just miles better, so we'll pay the juice if we have to. We're going to try and line shop for the best line out there, but I'm going to lean Tampa Bay on the run line, or on the money line, excuse me. And then in terms of the total, this is totally one that I went back and forth. 7 runs just seems a little bit too low for me, even though neither one of these teams have scored a run in their last 2 games. I'm hoping for a little bit of a backup, comeback here, and bounce back. So I do think that this one's going to hit the over. Second to last game on the slate. Again, stick around to the end of the video. We're going to be jumping into outliers. You guys can actually see how the tool works, and I'm not just pushing something because I'm getting a paycheck. I actually do really like outliers, so we'll check that out at the end of the video. Right now we got Minnesota taking on Kansas City. Minnesota minus 190 at home here on the money line. Total sitting at 8 runs in this one. This Minnesota team, 3 of their last 4 games, they've covered that minus 1.5 when they are favored. You can get them at plus money for minus 1.5 right now. I don't hate that at all. In fact, I think both run lines make sense. So if you're in the comments being like, I do think Kansas City can cover that, they've covered 4 of their last 5 on when they are plus 1.5 here on the run line. So I don't hate that from a trend perspective either. I do think that this is a better spot for Minnesota, especially getting some plus money on that run line. So I'm going to lean in that direction. And then in terms of the total, we have 8 right now. I like the over in that as well. Molly's on the mound for the Twins, 1-2 with a 3.32 ERA, and then Greinke on the mound. He's letting up a bunch of runs, and he's yet to get his first win, 0-3 on the season. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, last game of the slate. Again, before we jump into outlier, we have the Texas Rangers taking on the Yankees here. This Rangers team, the Texas Womps. They choke away. I shouldn't say they choked yesterday, but they choked away 2 straight games. We had the money line every game during their series against Cincinnati. That is 3 losses that we took. In 3 games, they probably could have won. 2 definitely should have won. I'm boycotting the Texas Womps from here on out until they show me otherwise, until maybe we give them a little bit of a leash here, like a loose leash down the road, and they cover back for us. But man, if I could put a bunch of baseball players in jail, I would do it to the Texas Rangers, the Texas Womps. Damn it. I mean, that was tough, taking 3 L's in 3 days with this team. So you know what? We're heavy on the Yankees today. I like the Yankees here on the money line. Now, the money isn't that great, minus 160, but we got to get some revenge against these Womps. So I'm leaning towards the Yankees. They have Garrett Cole on the mound. Go get the job done. I'm fired up for this. We might put 2 units on it because I hate the Rangers so much, but nonetheless, we're taking Yankees here on the money line. And then in terms of the total, I do like the over here, but I'm probably, if we put 2 units on the Yankees here, I'm not going to be taking 2 different things in this game. I'm going to be more of a Yankees fan there. But that is going to wrap it up for the video. In terms of the picks, guys, we are going to jump into the outlier side of things here, and I'll show you guys what I do have on one of the other screens while I'm going through and doing the research as well, because it is pretty cool. So we do have this screen that, prior to jumping on and recording, I'm looking through and looking for these trends. Tigers covered all these, right? We go back up to the Pittsburgh Pirates. You can see when they're plus 1.5, they've covered 10 in a row. I just think that that's why I said I believe. I think it's 11 or 0 at this point, but you can see they have money line, run line, over and under, guys. It's a very visual thing for game picks as well, but we want to try and find a player prop here that we're going to lock in as our outlier play of the day here. So let's go around. Aaron Judge has failed to exceed 0.5 RBIs in 7 of his last 8 games after a win. I don't really love this, but let's take a peek at his RBIs overall. 3 RBIs yesterday. He's really been sporadic so far. We can look at his entire season. He's hit the under here in 64% of games. He's a guy that can go off at any given moment, though I don't think that minus 175, the juice isn't worth the squeeze there. But you can see all of these trends that outlier is throwing out into our face. It is so helpful. If you do want to start from scratch and look up any player in any of their lines or anything like that, you have this screen. You can see hit rates for the last 5, last 10, 20, head-to-head, 2023 or last year, and they have an implied probability as well here that can help you guys out. But I do really like these trend pages here. So let's keep going. Nathaniel Lowe has exceeded 0.5 hits in 17 of his last 20 games here. We can dig in and see what he's been doing. He has been cooking. He had 3 hits over 3 games against Cincinnati, going up against Healy today going up against, Garrett Cole today. Garrett Cole pitches not also well against the Texas Rangers. Then we can also look at how this Texas team bats against the right-handed pitchers compared to their averages. So obviously we're looking at Nathaniel Lowe. Looks like when he's batting, last year he had a 302 ERA, average batting average there. Against right-handed, he drops down to 288. We probably don't like that. So let's get back to the trending and find something that we do like here. Simeon's gotten a hit in 10 of his last 12 games. That odds are not that great, minus 200. So we're going to look away from that. But again, I don't even want to bet any of these damn Texas Rangers here. Eugenio Suarez has exceeded 0.5 total bases in 16 of his last 20 games for decent odds, -125 here. Let's take a peek. We shall jump in. He's done it in 7 of his last 10 games on the season, 75% of games. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we found our play. You can see you can get better odds over on Caesars with one click of the button, or you can scan a QR code. We're going to jump into Caesars. Now, I'm not going to be logged in, but you can see that this is going to go right into our bet slip, and we can throw whatever your unit size or whatever you're comfortable doing in on that. But that is going to be our outlier play of the day. Let's cash it, guys. We'll catch you guys in the next video. All right, peace out.